So I'm going to read to you something here that is, stock market talk, and I understand very little of it, but luckily I have great researchers and great friends that I reach out to that do know all of this stuff. So let me just give you a couple of paragraphs of what I read over the weekend, and then I'll give you the explanation that I was taught by all of my very smart friends. On Friday, you might have noticed something odd was happening in the market. While stocks were tumbling, pushing most tech names to a deep bear market amid the worst turmoil for risk assets in a year, inflows into stocks, both institutional and retail, have been soaring. According to the Bank of America, cumulative equity flows year-to-date in 2021 have hit a record $153 billion, exceeding the pace of early 2021. Now, what they're talking about here is the global stock market this last week logged in $46 billion worth of new cash. This is the fourth largest weekly inflow into global stock market on record. When you look at the whole thing over time, since January 1st, 2019, 3 years ago, cash has seen $1.897 trillion worth of inflows. Bonds have seen, stocks and bonds, $1.8 trillion worth. Equities, $632 billion. Okay. What does all of this mean? If you look at the global stock market, just this year, annualized at this rate, which is $5.7 billion of new money coming into the stock market every day, we're going to add $1.322 trillion of new money into the stock market this year. So 2021 logged in more money coming into the stock market than the prior 25 years combined. And this year is on pace to exceed that number by 45%. Just those two numbers should make you say, wait a minute, what? That doesn't sound good. Let me repeat. Last year, 2021, there was more money flowing into the stock market, $913 billion, almost $1 trillion, more than the prior 25 years combined. Where's this money coming from? And this year, we're going to be 45% higher than that. Again, where's this money coming from? So that's what I asked my friends. I thought I knew the answer, and I did, but they gave me really much more scary information. You want it? I mean, it is Monday. Sucks already because it's Monday. What do you say we just throw this log on the fire? Investors have not had more access to low-interest money than they do right now. Investor debt versus projected gains. Listen to this. They're borrowing this money, and they're betting on the future. They currently need an 81% annualized stock return to make a profit. So the average of 23% is what's usual since 1980. So if stocks don't return with 81% year-over-year return, the investors lose. We have never, ever had 81% annualized return. The best year was 2020, when we had a 55% annualized return. So what's happening? Well, I will tell you that as we've shown you, the Fed is lending trillions of dollars to the banks. They're just giving them literally trillions of dollars to the banks. So what are they doing with it? They're giving it to places like, Goldman Sachs, or in this case, places like Blackwater. And Blackwater is investing. But remember, government and the central banks are now on the hook for the stock market returns because they now are responsible for your pension and your retirement funds. 98% of the federally insured pensions have U.S. stock market exposure. So all of these big investors are getting free money from the Fed. They're going in, they're dumping it in. Inflows to U.S. stocks increased 270% from March 2020 to January 2022. Now, how's that happening during a global pandemic? Why are people suddenly, the average person who probably lost their job, why are they dumping money into the stock market? How does the stock market go up when the supply chain is disrupted, when everything is closed? We should have had a massive disruption in the stock market, but we didn't. Why? Because the Fed is giving funny money to everybody. The massive IRA pension market, which the government is on the hook for, is worth over $75 trillion. And most of that money, 65%, is in the stock market. If you think that this is going to end well for your pension, you're mistaken. The stock market is being driven right now by the Fed. The Fed is buying stocks themselves. And the government is on the hook. And need I remind you, the government is you. People are getting rich on your back. And it ain't you. This is the biggest theft in American history, in world history. The transfer of your money and the debt now that your children, remember, when they give away and print trillions of dollars and give it to investors because they're too big to fail, your children are going to be paying for that debt. And those dollars are not going to be around. They have an unlimited currency policy right now. So what happens when the stock market takes a downturn? And it will. All of that money will be lost, and all of the banks and the JP Morgans and the Goldman Sachs, the BlackRocks, the Blackwater, the people who are too big to fail, they're going to be failing. And who's going to bail them out this time? You will, in a form of a new currency. That's what's coming. And I really urge you to find out what's right for you to protect yourself. I sent some Instagram pictures out this weekend, yesterday. On Saturday, I was at Heritage Auctions in Dallas. They had a big Lincoln sale, Abraham Lincoln sale, and some of the stuff that has never come up for auction before. And I will tell you, I have a renewed sense. I told my wife, I said, look, I don't think our money, money is not going to save you. And I don't know what's coming, but you just listen to the way they're talking about the truckers. You see what's happened with Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, and the press isn't going to even cover that. You see how they're talking about people as anti-government, who are just, I'm not anti-government. I'm pro-constitutional government. I'm anti-oligarch. And you see the way everything is being set up, and they're getting more and more vicious. These people will destroy America, but I want you to know, it's going to be a race to the finish line. If there is any violence, we lose. as you see, and you know, any violence, we lose. And don't be surprised if it's not leftist violence. But any violence, we lose. And we're on a racetrack. They're not ready yet. Otherwise, they would have snapped the trap. They're not ready yet. ESG has to be really chugging along. They have to have all of the ducks in a row, and they have to have an economic collapse to be able to do it. I think they need war as well. I could be wrong, but boy, oh boy, does it seem like our government is just on the war path. We gotta Russia Wednesday. Make sure you write it down. It's going to happen at 8:00. Pat, have you ever seen our government give such specific details on how this war is going to happen now they're saying on Wednesday. Wednesday they're going in.
No, I don't think so. And the Ukrainians don't think it's going to happen at all.
The Ukrainian president said, Joe Biden, could you please come over or at least send your intel people? We'd like to see what you've seen because we don't have any of that intel.
Yeah. They say that Russia does this all the time. And then they back off, and then they come back and threaten again, and then they back off. So Ukrainians are pretty used to this, and they don't think this is going to come to anything.
Germany announced over the weekend that they announced that Europe is on the verge of war. Europe is on the verge of war. You go into war in Europe, you're in World War III, everybody makes a move, the world is up for grabs, and everything changes overnight. I will tell you, I am renewing my commitment. Tanya and I we took money. The kids are not going to college, I'll tell you that. But we took our money and bought really important pieces of history this weekend on Abraham Lincoln. And I really, truly believe that this cannot just, it can't just sit in a vault. It needs to be seen. And I'm working on some things for this summer that I hope be able to do. But it needs to be seen all over the country. It can't just be in one place. We got to see it all over the country. But also we need to preserve these things. And if you have things that are important to American history, if you can keep it safe, and I mean put it in a vacuum bag and seal it, and at some point if things get dicey, bury it and don't tell anybody. Because I really, truly believe these people hate America so much. They'll destroy all of our history, and we have to preserve it. I said to Tanya, she said, you want to do what? And I explained because she saw the prices. And I said, yeah, but listen. And I talked to her about where I think we are. And if we lose this history, we have no way of proving it. We have no way. You know, they're already saying, did you see what happened with Elon Musk this last week? They were talking about how one of his rogue rockets is going to crash into the moon.
Yeah.
All week they talked about that.
Yep.
It wasn't an Elon Musk rocket.
Nope,
I guess you should follow the science. Chinese. Now, Pat, let me ask you, is that a mistake or was that intentional that they're blaming it on Elon Musk instead of China?
My guess is intentional.
Yeah. And I couldn't tell you one way or another. I know what I believe just from past action, but I don't know. Button up, batten down the hatches, and prepare for impact, because this time we're not coming down in the trees.